This video is intended to describe a stationary light blade mainframe that's travel size named Abundance. And joining me today will be my whimsical stick figure chakra map I'll be utilizing for chakra reference stimulation points for this entire construct. So before I discuss the rather dynamic exotic range of crystals configured in this entire operational system of these wires terminated together, I'll be discussing the primary intention or the primary directive of this entire construct. So the big idea, to keep it simple as a preface, is that this entire construct has been wire-wrapped, harnessed around a Himalayan salt lamp that's a nightlight size, most importantly being utilized with an incandescent bulb to actually generate the heat, to heat the salt, to purify the entire crystalline structure seen right here, then to take this alga clip seen right here, that's clipped right to the primary wire of this entire device, then running it through a wire seen like so, and most importantly, grounding it into the ground of the outlet is the most important aspect of this entire intended function. So by firmly doing that, this entire crystalline group is, of course, being purified to the highest octave, being charged at a consistent rate, as consistent as electricity with direct current is heating the bulb to heat and purify this entire emanation, which then takes this entire overture of this energy and grounds it through the outlets. So the outlets, of course, in a house are all connected together, and there's a teddy bear. There's a little teddy bear right there. All these outlets are connected together via copper wire that goes all the way around the entire space, and by law, there is oftentimes at least an 8-foot copper rod driven into the premise somewhere to work as an agent to bypass the structure of lightning striking a roof, for example, or any other electrical malfunction. So if a space or place is up to code that's based on the modern building code right here with electrical engineering, it has to have a copper rod by law. So the big idea of taking all of these outlets in an entire house, piloting this energy through it, basically makes a tangible containment field to run this energy through the entire outlet section, which is the entire perimeter of the house, and driving it into the earth to give this entire crystalline overture high frequency pitch at max charge a very good displacement to ensure this frequency actually is grounding into the earth for A, comfortability, as well as B, to increase tangibility to make the magic real. Okay, without further ado, I'll be discussing the crystalline composition. I feel like there's a pretty good notarization of the intended construct, which I will probably repeat once I get past this massive collection of crystals that are all terminated together for one comprehensive vibrational compound interest crystalline entity seen before us for this dissertation. Clear my throat and get ready for it. Because this is a lot of ground to cover to be obviously seen with all these different components. So the aspect I'll start with right now is the foundational scaffolding of the transmutation ratio, seen right here running a perimeter, much like a crown for the entire construct for a very distinctive, important purpose. So the aspect of utilizing hematite, a very fantastic grounder of all excess energy through the root chakra, into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix, in tandem with smoky quartz seen right here, part of the ignition sequence, also provides the same energetic pathway stimulation to purify all negativity by firmly grounding it into the earth. So the two together can be considered the transmutation ratio, which works much like etheric Teflon or composting to ensure the entire frequency pitch of all this excess energy is being firmly grounded through the roots, into the earth stars, into the earth for perpetual energetic redialysis by constantly displacing and transmuting negativity by firmly grounding it into the earth at a very high premium, which is also very much a great thing by itself to have a vehicle designed to, of course, turn negativity into positivity as a primary scaffolding, if you would. But the aspect also why it's so critical is taking all these exotic high-frequency minerals seen right here in a terminated circuit and giving it a safe transmutation subroutine through the entire vibratory output to ensure the grounding of this entire exotic range is indeed being firmly grounded to the earth to, once again, make the magic real and, God willing, as efficient as comfortable as possible. So the aspect of transmutation on brass and silver is also the output of the projection of the transmutation sequence, as well as the silver being the intake. So any energies coming in, coming out, are basically in a circle format being transmuted very quickly through this entire process with the polarity of positive and negative in a sequence develop to be the crown or the diadem of this entire small unit, which will be, as I go on with this dissertation, will be very obvious the highlighted importance of having a strong grounded foundation to make the magic real, to efficiently ground all this excessive energy, to be very much also a comfortable emanation for a background of a space, for example. So without further ado, I will discuss exactly why this would be the 27th rendition of the Abundance Platform based on this ignition sequence seen right here. So at the time of this video, there actually are 28 of this particular frequency operational. This is number 27. And so the aspect also of this particular sequence is what's being considered the abundance ratio that's been quite prolifically distributed at this point with a fair amount of success, to put it lightly, for this dissertation. So the aspect of what is deemed the abundance ratio is pretty much a very powerful green ray heart chakra stimulant that starts off right here with moss green agate to work as the premier water elemental green ray heart chakra stabilization agent to indeed, of course, encourage the vibratory output of this entire green ray heart chakra abundance stimulant to indeed stabilize that receptivity, so the emanation is a constant flux of the abundance platform to ensure the easier transference for the energy field or the avatar or the auric field to embody and stabilize that abundance frequency in the emanation. Then right here would be a very special crystal named golden healer quartz. Golden healer quartz is actually a gold white ray crystal that is a high heart stimulant that it works as a great attunement to the great central sun of creation, or the heart of creation, or the universe itself, to be a tremendous crystalline Christ frequency energization. So having a dose of the attunement to the source of creation is obviously very advantageous. Hence, it can be argued to be potentially a holy grail generator in that capacity, in tandem with the peridot, seen right here. Peridot, a fantastic earth energy, green ray, third and fourth chakra stimulant of growth. Essentially, it's the containment of chlorophyll, the energy of how all this is possible, trees and whatnot growing, is contained in a crystalline format to be very expansive with abundance. Then in tandem with that, to accelerate the entire overture of this energy closed-loop circuit would be rutilated quartz to serve as a massive amplification with the bands of rutile inside the clear quartz structure that works as a massive intensification of the abundance ratio as a whole, with the bands of titanium rutile oxide seen inside the structure to work as basically a supercharger for the ignition sequence. Then going into the legendary emerald, the quintessential green ray crystal of great precious notoriety and royal utilization for thousands of years for a good reason. This is a beryl family precious stone, which means it has an 8.5 out of 10 hardness, which also gives it a very dense atomical structure by the vibratory output of this particular green ray crystal to be the quintessential heart chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom of great notoriety, which of course also means that there's a great amount of faith in the human morphic field in this particular stone being a precious stone that most mortals have heard of, even if they're not crystal enthusiasts, because it quite simply is a precious stone of antiquity that's quite ingrained in human consciousness and history. So that king and queen of the green ray stones is very, very essential for the ideal abundance frequency structure of the ideal heart chakra's receptivity. So the aspect of, once again, the golden healer quartz, the moss green agate, rutilated quartz, peridot, golden healer quartz, as well as the emerald in that sequence is developed to be a very intrinsic abundance frequency of the ideal growth pattern of one's divine birthright in connection to creation, with the golden healer quartz being a very powerful source energizer. So that's why it can be contested to be conceptualized as a potential holy grail generator to connect one's terrestrial green ray heart to the emanations of creation of what they are in truth in connection to creation. That provides great miraculous opportunities because it's quite simply kind of like the destiny blueprint code, so to speak. So that's of course why that would be the 27th rendition of abundance seen right here with this primary blade banding. So this power pack is quite stacked, so this will take a while to properly notarize, but I'll start off with down here, seen with black tektite. Black tektite is a product of nickel iron meteorite impacting sand, carrying the extraterrestrial jolt into creation, and also is a very fantastic high vibration threshold increasement. Based on it being a black-ray crystal, starts from the Earth stars up, and raises vibrations from the very base scaffolding, which makes it very advantageous for practical raising of vibrations in that capacity towards cosmic alignment, which makes for also another big boost for the entire construct. So obviously, this is pretty self-evident, but I'll say this, is that all of these different crystals terminate to this primary wire of the closed loop reactive circuit of brass, copper, and silver are much akin to these organs of this crystalline entity before us, so they all generate vibrational compound interest as a unit, as a whole, for this crystalline mainframe structure. Then right here is seraphinite. Seraphinite is an incredible full light body activator from the ground up as well. That activates the entire chakra column. It works very, very diligently, I should say, to remove any patterns of dis-ease that are not of the basically factory blueprint setting that would be impactful in causing harm to the system through energetic disruption to the chakra column. So also the aspect of this glowing green ray crystal is obviously a heart chakra stimulant, but then the capacity of bringing the entire light body in full alignment with their divinity. Also, forgot to mention this, named after the seraphim archangels, rather important fact about this green ray crystal I utilize quite religiously. And the aspect of the seraphinite also brings a very powerful wholeness, healing, frequency, full light body activation. Like I mentioned, works very diligently to dispel any capacities that be impeding a healthy light body, which indeed makes it a true master healer. Hence, my application of it is so prolific. Alrighty. So, to the left of the seraphinite is a very powerful stone named phenakite. Phenakite is a very, very powerful clear ray beryl family, which means it's technically a cousin to emerald of extreme third eye and crown higher chakra activation, which also, of course, basically makes it one, in my opinion, one of the top 3 powerful third eye activators of divine truth in the mineral kingdom. So it's definitely a very higher chakra stimulant frequency, but where it's very useful too in application is actually taking that phenakite and terminating to the structure. Also increases the third eye capacity and crown, but also works to broaden the entire chakra column as a whole, so the electromagnetic spectrum, or the full spectrum of the 7 rays of light, can be highly intensified to make physical scaffolding of higher frequency energies. Okay, that was quite a mouthful, huh? So then right above the seraphinite right here will be the legendary moldavite. So moldavite is quite the famous green ray crystal in vogue in this timeline for its great notarization of being a magical crystal. And the aspect of moldavite being a green ray storm elemental frequency alignment is very, very potent in its capacity to align one's truth to indeed their higher nature that bypasses the limitation imprintations that would be considered the human condition by all standards, which increases synchronicities, magical manifestations, magic, you name it. It's quite the legendary stone for this timeline. It also works as a quintessential dharmic accelerant of one's highest path alignment made physical internally and externally. Then next to that would be Libyan gold tektite, which actually kind of looks like a pyramid in this rendition, which is a very cool fact. Libyan gold tektite is an amazing sacrum and solar plexus stimulant, being a cardinal fire energy stimulant. Also works as a massive storm elemental full chakra stimulation as well, or basically another full light body activator by firmly bringing the golden ray of illumination of creativity into the field, and was utilized by pharaohs of old to be carved into scarab beetles to be set into the finery breastplates that were of course indicative of the badge of office of the Magi God King of the dynasties of Egypt, which is a very cool fact. So the aspect also, of course, makes for a tremendously powerful sovereign manifestation capacity, and also works as a tremendous dharmic accelerant to put one's intentions and connection intentions to creation, which is very, very powerful stuff. Then right here will be another light body healer activator I utilize in a trinity particular with these 3, which I'll describe as I get to them. This is Tibetan black quartz. Tibetan black quartz is a fantastic stimulant of the entire chakra column. Some of these things, of course, have themes of same kind of stimulations to generate vibrational compound interest as master healers. So Tibetan black quartz is a great expansion of the lower chakras into the earth stars, into the earth, to expand the rooting of the energy. Also works simultaneously to dramatically expand the higher chakra column, which of course works to submit the entire chakra column in unison, and has a very nice ohm resonance frequency imbuement, very indicative of the region where it's harvested, of Tibet, which is perhaps the most unbroken concentration of spiritual discipline on the earth, just about, to have the Om concept be caught in crystal, which is, part of the region's locale myth, basically. So basically, in application, it's another full light body healer to ensure that any kind of patterns of dis-ease are well bridged past into the factory blueprint of an ideal light body, which, aka, in theory, would produce ideal health configuration conditions. Then above the Libyan gold tektite is sunstone. So sunstone also works like the yang to the abundance ratios, which has been very important. So the aspect of the green ray reception of the receptive heart chakra is very much the yin of abundance, of receiving this frequency as a massive output of energy. The sunstone is a very, very fun, sunny sacrum and solar plexus stimulant that works as a very beneficent fire energy that makes one feel very good, very blessed, and very grateful and very enthusiastic. So that'd be more like the yang output of the extreme abundance sensation, and while the green primary blade band would be the intake. So of course it helps to intensify the manifestations of abundance, yay! Then the reception is being stabilized into that reality cohesion, so to speak. Okay. Then, to cool off a little bit of this excess fire from this unit right here, would be the Larimar seen right here. Larimar is a fantastic 5th and 6th chakra stimulant to bring both balances of water and fire into the auric field, and very much a divine oasis of calm and clarity can be construed to Larimar as a simple thing to kind of just talk about briefly. So it makes for a great 5th chakra stimulant and soothing capacity. Then right here will be another full light body master healer I utilize quite frequently for a distinct purpose of star argonite. Star argonite, just like seraphonite and Tibetan black quartz mentioned thus far, is a calcium-based full light body stimulant as well, and works very diligently, just like the other two mentioned, to dismantle patterns of disease or stagnancies in the energy field that be causing a dis-ease, quite simply. And so that's why the three of them are the holy trinity of master healers employed pretty much quite frequently in virtually all light tech for that distinct purpose, to generate that vibrational compound interest of, once you have, of course, a full unimpeded light body matricy, it's very helpful to maintain an impeccable healthy energy field, which is impeccable healthy energy physical manifestation in theory. Then above the star argonite would be fulgurite. Fulgurite is petrified lightning literally striking sand, carrying the energy of lightning, which was utilized by First Nation shamans as a spirit tool of antiquity. By literally harnessing the power of lightning, they're able to tap into the energy force of lightning to intensify the entire chakra column, full light body activator with lightning force, which of course was utilized to intensify their manifestations by raising their vibrations with lightning power so intensely. The medicine man or medicine woman would intensify their prayers back to Creator very intensely by using the fulgurite to be in service to the spaces, places, and beings under jurisdiction as people of magic or medicine in the time period. So obviously it's a very high frequency induction, but not to worry, there's many different stabilizers for all these high frequency crystals and grounders to get the most out of it without causing any kind of overture fryouts or disruptions and dysregulations. Starting off with smoky celestial quartz seen right here. So this entire apex of the built out crystals up here are developed grounded to the transmutation ratio. So all these other different exotic frequency variables seen at the very top, very well built out, are being redirected and contained and recirculated through this ignition sequence to, once again, ground it into reality, disperse negativity, and make the magic real. Starting off with the smoky celestial quartz, which is perhaps one of the more far-out topics to ever discuss in a light blade dissertation, which I know is a pretty ambitious statement to be made right there after 20 minutes of this crystalline rant thus far, because the application of the celestial quartz is quite exotic, to put it nicely, of the auric field stimulation. So smoky quartz, of course, much like here, is a fantastic grounder of negativity and positivity, but it's the growth structure of the celestial that has a very special resonance attunement to the auric field that's really worth the notarization and specialty. So the aspect of the celestial quartz works as an autoregular dimmer switch for whatever auric field comes in contact with this, which basically means this works as a governor or a autoregulatory frequency to ensure the most comfortable frequency emanation of whatever auric field comes in contact patch with this influx, works to intensify or dim down the energy wavelength at the flux at the opportune moment based on one's higher blueprint divine self guidance. It gets very hard to describe linearly and quite coherently and rationally because it gets very far out, as my disclaimer. And so the aspect too that make it practical is the works like a surge protector to ensure the high frequency of this entire crystalline group as an entity has a constant dimmer flux to regulate the frequency output for the highest comfortability and highest good, moment to moment, very reactively. I think that will be sufficient for the description, but basically it's a very essential component to light tech for its rapid adaptability to a situation or comfortability for the auric field of the primary recipient, obviously, as well as anybody in contact with the recipient. It's very meta, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off on that, and yeah, it's good enough for now, because, yeah, I've described that. All right. And the aspect right here, seen next to the celestial smoky quartz, would be Sedona Red Rock from the top, very top of Bell Rock in Sedona, Arizona. So Sedona Red Rock is, of course, from a place that's rather famous named Sedona, Arizona. And the red rock has a high iron concentration, which works as a very fantastic high-frequency grounder. Hence, it's another magical site of great notoriety. So having a low dose of that Sedona Red Rock, primarily from the very tippy top I can get to, actually, in Bell Rock, seen right here, makes for a very fantastic iron grounding of high-frequency energy into the tangible range. Hence, it's a place of magic. Then to the right of that would be a very special variety of serpentine called infinitite. Serpentine by itself is a very fantastic full Kundalini activator, full cellular respiration agent, as well as a full light body activator. But most importantly, it's a very effective agent to raising the Kundalini serpentine energy through the entire chakra column to have a unified light body activation. But the specialty of infinitite also works to decrystallize impediments or patterns that would be preventing this natural flow very quickly, particularly in the root chakra, where it comes to survival issues, aspects like that, is where it's very well employed in the abundance constructs to decrystallize the entire vibratory habitual pattern from replaying out its circuitry, or basically its pattern of scarcity, is the design of that guy. Hence, it there also works for a very fantastic etheric insulation of the energy field to really defrazzle the excess overture of any kind of energy field to bring very much harmonious, peaceful vibrations, quite simply. Then, I guess I'm going counterclockwise. I guess it's just kind of how organically it's working out. So then right here would be ruby, a lovely legendary red ray crystal of great notoriety in the mineral kingdom. It is the quintessential root chakra stimulant, being a corundum, which means oftentimes it has a 9 or 8.5 of hardness is red ray, which means it's the most vivid, intensive root chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom. That, of course, is well notarized as another precious stone that most mortals have heard of, even if they have no interest in crystals whatsoever, because it's quite prolifically famous as a precious stone of antiquity. So having that ruby is definitely a very advantageous abundance, zest for life energy, which is very, very conducive for the health of the physical avatar. Then right here would be fire agate, seen right here. Fire agate is a very amazing fire energy, stabilizer of fire energy that stimulates the root, the sacrum, and the solar plexus in the most stabilized fashion, which is very advantageous for a stabilized lower 3 chakras, which is good for the lower scaffolding of the healthy human avatar. Then next to that would be grape agate. Grape agate is a purple ray wind elemental 6th and 7th chakra stimulant, but it's also the most stabilizing frequency stimulant of the wind spectrum of 6th and 7th chakras, which of course is very advantageous to have a stabilized third eye as well as crown chakra. So before I discuss further, I'm going with this theme right now. When it comes to the jaspers and the agates in the mineral kingdom, they're the most stable vibratory output generators of whatever respective color range and elemental correspondence for the auric field possible. So this construct has the full spectrum of the agates and jaspers of all the elements of earth, fire, water, and wind to be the most stabilized stimulants of the full spectrum of what would be considered the Lakota medicine wheel, or the 4 directions of earth, fire, water, and wind in the most stabilized format possible for a background space generator such as this. Let's see here. Then right here, next to the holly blue agate, would be blue lace agate, seen right here, at the very apex next to the salt candle for a distinct purpose. Blue lace agate is a blue ray water elemental fifth chakra stabilizer, which is very advantageous to have a very stabilized fifth chakra. Is very helpful because being a human, we have to talk a lot, for now at least. And so that's a very nice, serene, highest truth stimulant right there. And it's been strategically placed right here at the base of this red jasper pyramid, which I guess I'll discuss right now. So the aspect of the blue lace agate is the perfect blue ray antithesis stabilization-wise to the red jasper pyramid seen right here. So at the very, very apex of this entire ambitious stationary mount travel size abundance mainframe would be the abundance platform would be a red jasper pyramid for a distinct purpose. So the aspect of red jasper is quite literally the most stabilized root chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom, which is very advantageous and actually has become quite prolifically notarized for its effectivity as a stone of magic for many years, thousands of years. It actually is utilized in ancient Egypt to tie to the wrists of newborns to anchor their bodies into their new physical avatars. So in that capacity, having the very apex of this entire circuitry running at max potential frequency at all times, the very top of this broadcast, sharpening the focus of the red jasper, stabilizes the entire overture of this energy to bring a very stabilized environment as the primary focus, which is tremendously advantageous for anybody, to put it lightly. Okay, so that'd be the aspect of mostly the jasper and agates mentioned thus far, as well as I'll circle back to the prior blade band of having the moss green agate being a water elemental stabilization of the heart chakra as well. So that indeed covers the earth, fire, water, and wind spectrum ranges in the most stabilized vibrations like output configurations I can get my hands on. Then right underneath this jasper over here is a very special crystal named prehnite. Prehnite is an incredible green ray master healer of the fourth and third chakra stimulation, much like the abundance ratio. But the aspect of prehnite is a master healer because it has a very clean attunement, at least in my opinion and my findings, to the realm of the Raphael force, the healing green ray seraphim archangel of close to creation's emanations. So the aspect of having a master Raphael frequency broadcast underneath this red jasper to be the stabilized broadcast focus also brings a great nourishing healing vibration into the entire space it's grounded into, for example. And right here are a couple auxiliary specialty crystals. So right here is chaurite. Chaurite is an incredible violet ray, third and sixth chakra stimulant, yet it has something called black dendritic and calcite in the matrix, which also means it has a very strong, independent black ray grounding of high frequency energy. So perhaps when it comes to dharmic accelerants, this one is my favorite purple ray comprehensive crystal for this purpose, because by itself it has a very intrinsic completion of the high frequency circuit to increase the high contact patch of the crown chakra and the soul star, then going into the earth star independently of having to utilize, of course, auxiliary means of grounding it into reality. So the aspect of chaurite is a tremendous full light body activator in that regard, as well as one's highest path being very well pronounced and obvious to the conscious self is the concept right there too. So it's a tremendous purple ray, high frequency shielding dharmic accelerant. And to further bring truth to the construct would be aquamarine seen right here. So aquamarine, this lovely specimen right here, is another very famous cousin to emerald in the beryl family of 8.5 or 9 out of 10 on the hardness scale of the cardinal water fourth and fifth chakra stimulation, to speak impeccably for one's heart. So its notorizations go back quite a ways also, but it's also very much a lovely water element, like I mentioned, fourth and fifth chakra stimulant to bring one's highest heartfelt truth into conscious self-awareness in that capacity. Then, right above that would be kunzite. Kunzite is a lovely pink ray, lithium-based, extreme high heart chakra, pink ray, soothing emanation, which brings a great calming vibration to the entire space through a pink ray love filter. Then in tandem with rose quartz, another very famous pink ray heart chakra stimulant of divine love in that capacity, which is always useful. Then a little dose of authentic turquoise seen right here. Turquoise is another one of those crystals that are A favorite of millions for thousands of years for distinctly good reasons, because of its great notarization of magic literally across the world, which I will admit, because I could probably add 10 more minutes to this video. But the aspect of turquoise being a stone of wholeness embodies the aspects of earth, fire, water, and wind in a fifth chakra focus. So it's definitely a tremendous stone of wholeness in that capacity, as well as a nice full light body activator in that capacity. Is like a pranic generator, stimulator of one's highest truth. So I believe that would be the entirety of the auxiliary built-out crystalline group mentioned thus far. Okay. So something I do save for last in these videos as a comprehensive capstone is actually the selenite and the kyanite seen right here. So the aspect of this about half-hour crystalline rant will be pretty obvious why I saved this for last intentionally. So the aspect of the wooden core actually is from Sedona, Arizona, from an oak tree that actually is tapped into the water source of Oak Creek, which means this entire tree of oak, which is a nice dense atomical structure by itself, actually its tap roots are grounded into a constant flowing river of water that never dries out, which means also this this home tree, this oak, its donor, is a very abundant tree, which is part of the rule of making an abundance construct from the ground up. So that's a very nice little Sedona oak feature right there from the river. That is the home tree, the wooden core. And the selenite seen adhered to both sides of the inner part of this power pack is here for a distinct purpose as a master healer. So selenite is a very fantastic 6th and 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant all the way back to one's godhead, and also works fantastically to clear off debris between one's conscious self-contact patch with one's divine guidance, as well as with that high-frequency induction makes for a fantastic transmutation of burning off stagnant energies through the entire auric field. By itself, that's quite the considerable master healer to discuss theoretically notarized. But the aspect where it truly shines in any given spirit tool is taking the capacity of this entire crystalline group mentioned thus far. I haven't even mentioned the very back part, but I will momentarily, and taking this entire group and purifying all of these crystals in one closed-loop reactive circuit, then to amplify all of these crystals in a closed-loop reactive circuit, and perhaps most importantly, bring harmonization and equilibrium and cohesiveness to the entire exotic crystalline group in this reactive wide-open throttle circuit. That's why selenite is absolutely essential for a proper functional spirit tool as they have been developed up to this point for that distinct purpose, to once again the holy trinity of purification of all these crystals, the amplification, and the harmonization is the triumphant trifecta that is all light tech virtually no matter what rendition or platform is built around for that distinct purpose. And so the aspect of black kyanite exclusively being utilized is also encouraged to rapidly ground this energy through the earth stars into the earth as quick as possible. So kyanites, for that matter, are the most rapid transfer of energy in the mineral kingdom. But the aspect of black kyanite exclusively utilized intentionally is to ensure this entire crystalline group is being rapidly transferred through the earth stars into the earth as absolutely quick as possible as another surge protector to ensure the contact patch of this energy is primarily being transferred into the tangible range to encourage tangibly the magic and, and more the in-the-body experience, not the I see the future reality, which sometimes, of course, those are appropriate, but not for the stationary mainframe this has been developed for as a little joke. So on the very back side of this really built-out mainframe is another auxiliary power pack. Once again, this is black kyanite as a central core to once again be another massive encouragement of this entire excess yield, this device, to rapidly ground it to the earth as quick as possible to encourage the insulation of this energy field. Not to mention, of course, so this, of course, running through the entire space is being piloted through the ground right here, which is going through all the outlets simultaneously in any given space, such as a house, a Airbnb, a hotel, you name it. Wherever it has, or industrial space even, wherever it has modern electrical engineering, it should be up to code. It should have a copper rod driven to the earth and pilot this energy all the way through. So the reason I mention that again is for this aspect of being a intended EMF mitigation frequency through this entire structure. So the black kyanite rapidly disperses any kind of high frequency energies and rapidly grounds into the earth in the quickest capacity mineral kingdom. Hence, this is the core being employed for this back auxiliary power pack. But the blade band itself is quite exotic and special, of being black tourmalated quartz. So the aspect of black tourmaline seen right here inside a quartz structure is a quartz by itself is a natural amplifier and neutral ambient program carrier of whatever frequency is next to it. So having black tourmaline inside the structure also works to intensify another rather famous black ray crystal in vogue right now, to ground this energy firmly into the earth, just like many other black ray crystals, to bring extreme transmutation purification, which works much like an etheric vacuum cleaner to pull negativity and transmute it into the earth. So that aspect right there is the subcapacitation of this entire sequence with the shungite seen right here to be a absolutely tremendous carbon-based crystal, another crystal quite in vogue right now, quite famous for the utilization of mitigation of EMF or 5G, unnatural harmful wavelengths are natural to our human avatars we can test with in this modern timeline. So shungite's been well employed as a contingency. So utilizing a frequency output of shungite in tandem with tourmalated quartz, in theory, would work to purify and intensify the entire subroutine right here to bring a very powerful etheric purification shielding as a back subroutine, basically this entire emanation grounded into the house. So this entire construct be very much a conducive transmutation, purification, ambient background of the entire construct to further work to ground this entire excessive frequency pitch group, as well as bring a purification of etheric Teflon through the entire house in that capacity. Driven into that copper rod by the earth, which is, of course, making a whole, basically, tangible containment field in that capacity. All right, so I believe that would be the entire crystalline structure notarized in about 36.5 minutes. So, in summary, once again, full circle, now that this entire exotic crystalline construct has been well notarized and discussed this far, the aspect of taking this entire exact frequency pitch of the abundance ratio with many different helpers to buffer and intensify and assist in different exotic manners, most importantly, is having the incandescent bulb, not LED most importantly, so actually generates the heat, ensures this entire frequency crystalline group in a reactive circuit is being purified at peak efficiency at all times, which is great. Then to take that peak efficiency, then give it a firm ground into the earth with the copper rod through all the outlets. That is the most important prerogative to, once again, say it thrice, make a tangible containment field to make very good and simple, very good vibrations through an entire space wherever the recipient finds themselves, have single line and plug it in. To, once again, of course, on the backside, to mitigate 5G, harmful wavelengths that compromise the natural human avatar and the subtle DNA, things of that nature, and to, most importantly, stabilize that abundance ratio with, like I mentioned, many different auxiliary frequencies to stabilize that reality as a whole. Well, that would be it. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.